Well, Sir Ranulph, it doesn't get better than that. This is a man who's about to be crowned king of our country, bestowing you with these amazing tributes. How did that make you feel?
Well, he was great. I mean, I'll give you an instance. We used to go to Highgrove to brief him in the 70s and 80s as to the next expedition, world-breaking attempt he would be patron of. But he wouldn't agree to be patron without us going to describe everything that's going on that next expedition. And on one occasion at Highgrove, he said, yeah, that sounds a good idea, but who are we raising money for this time? And I said, well, sir, I'm afraid, we never have raised money. And he said, well, I wouldn't have been your patron if I'd known that. And I said, well, who do you want to raise money for? And he said, I'll let you know. And a couple of months later, he said, MS, multiple sclerosis. And to cut a long story short, now, all these years later, we're up to 19.8 million for UK charities as a result of Prince Charles's one comment.
Amazing. You know him well, much better than most people. What do you think are the biggest misunderstandings about him as a man?
People really don't seem to know what a wonderful, honest, humble character he is. And he's got a great sense of humour, a great sense of duty. But, he's had a lot of people against him, anti-monarchy and so on. And he lives in a democracy. And he knows his place, as it were. And we've been very, very lucky having him. I can remember being told that the Special Air Service, who were in charge of the first journey around Earth vertically that we were doing with Prince Charles as the patron, he came out to Australia to say hello. He got on the ship at Greenwich, where we set out, and he steered all the way down the Thames. He came to visit us when we had a show of all our sponsors at Farnborough, inside Farnborough. And he, with his equerry, who was scared stiff, was at the wheel. He, for good flight, it was a twin otter ski plane with wheels at the time. And as he landed on the snow and ice at Farnborough at that time, he thought, oh, that is nice. And he did it 3 times. And his equerry was terrified.
Well, I've known him a bit, and I actually know Camilla better, who I'm a big fan of. I think she's been an amazingly stoic rock in his life. It's very difficult. I was talking to Andrew Morton here about this. When you're following a monarch as great as his mother, and of course he had to take over whilst mourning the loss of his mother, coming quite soon after the death of his father. These are seismic changes in any man's life, both personally and professionally. Do you think he has the tools? I mean, you're one of the most resilient men in the country. Do you think he has the tools to not just come through that, but to thrive and be the king that he's always wanted to be?
I think so, but I'm no good at hypothesis into the future. What will go for and against, we just do not know. But if anyone stands a very good chance of it, with a good sense of humour and a good sense of humility, as I told you, and honest, he will be the best possible one that we could have.
We had a young lady on earlier who was very exercised about the idea of a monarchy, wanted to get rid of the monarchy, have a republic. There is a Republican whiff in the air amongst many countries in the Commonwealth, and a little bit of it here as well. When you justify our monarchy to people, if you get into that kind of debate with people, what are the best selling points, do you think, of why we should continue to have one?
Well, we are a democracy, and so if we vote for having a king rather than one of the many other alternatives, then, yeah, you're going to get lots of people against it, lots of people for it. Some of their reasons seem to be very reasonable, but the bottom line is that we remain a democracy and we stand up for any other democracies like Zelensky's. And, the monarchy normally, but not always, of course, is democratic.
Yeah, and to those who say that the whole idea of an unelected head of state, unelected monarchy presiding over our democratic process, what's the best justification for a monarchy, do you think?
I think it's the way we inherit things and always have. In the UK, I don't know about France and anywhere else, but in the UK, inheritance through a certain line is what we've been accustomed to all these generations.
Yeah, I think that's right. Andrew, let me bring you back in here.
Yes, stability and continuity.
Yeah, but when you get asked, come on then, explain why Britain should have this ridiculous farce of unelected people living in palaces with servants. What's the best answer?
Well, it is a constitutional monarchy. That's what Churchill always used to think. It was a constitutional monarchy. It wasn't a tyranny. It wasn't ruled by one man, and it's kind of like explaining the game of cricket to an American. They don't. It's one of those things that it's evolved over the years, and it can do with some reforming. I mean, I notice now that King Charles is reforming the way that they have their palaces and houses, and there's a lot that can be done, but at the same time, do you live by the premise that this is the best that we've got for our country?